All right, what's up, everybody? So I'm back with another banger. I decided to do my next updates in like a three-part series. Right now, what I want to do is just um, kind of tighten up some loose ends because after I watched the video I posted, it was just off the cuff. I realized there was a couple elephants in the room I wanted to address because establishing credibility for me is super important. Because anyone could just post a video and make all these claims and mislead the viewers. And I just want you all to feel totally comfortable knowing that what you're viewing is real, raw, and mostly real time. I'm going to try to make it as real time as I can. And my circumstances are as dire as I claim to be. So the first thing I want to point out is I mentioned a custody battle. What I forgot to mention, because it was a million things to talk about, I'm still processing it, honestly, is I'm still currently in the divorce process. It's going on about 2 years now. I got a divorce lawyer in September 2023, I think. Maybe it was late August. And, as typical as a contentious divorce goes, it's a long, complicated story, and it's still going on. And basically, without getting the details, we're back at square one. So now I'm going to get into why the circumstances are as dire as they are. I know there's plenty of people that have way worse situations than me, but I'm just trying to paint the picture so you all understand, because in the future, we're going to need to have some goals. That way you can look forward and see the results and also root me on, because I'm going to need encouragement because this is going to be really tough. The next thing I want to point out is, why is this so dire? Well, so if we go back, see like 4 years ago or so, the reason why it's so dire is because the money. You need money and resources to really benefit yourself. And I started the divorce process probably at the worst time. And when I got kicked out, it was like literally the worst time anyone could be kicked out, just because I didn't have any resources. But I had a bunch of miracles that happened that saved my butt. So I'm super grateful. And I'll tell you why money is a problem. So even though I was making good money, here's what happened. The way we were living wasn't sustainable, because 4 years prior, we were both working full time, and our combined income was really good. It was very comfortable. But my wife was pregnant with our second child, and that was planned. And it was really important for her to be around the kids a lot, because she takes a lot of pride in being a mother, and she's a great mom. And like I said, a lot of things are kept hidden. Like the good things I did weren't mentioned. And I was tired of just kind of like running my mouth saying I did this and I did that, because it made me seem kind of like whiny, and like I was like begging for validation, when really I was just trying to get recognized for who I really am. So just by coincidence, I got a job offer. I was hunted down by a company, Fortune 500 company, and they gave me a $30,000 sign-on bonus. This is more money than I've ever seen in my life at once. And I had some savings. We had separate bank accounts. I had some savings at the time, but not much. And that 30,000 sign-on bonus, I didn't want to count on that lasting a long time. And in outside sales, the type I do, you have to build your book, meaning the more customers you get, the more stuff they buy, you get a commission on everything they buy. So as you're in, it's for the life of the account. So the more accounts you get, the more money you can make. So I got hired to sell like hand soap, sanitizer, N95 masks, air purification systems, stuff like that. And this is like in the heat of COVID. So I thought I was going to make a ton of money. My base was like 70,000. I'm really good at finding new business, closing new business, and just growing anything. Where I go, I grow. And I got recognized for that. And that's why I got hunted down. Anyways, I'm realistic though. I know how hard this can be, and I've never been in the distribution industry before. Totally new segment. So I knew it was going to be tough. So what I did was I wanted to make sure that we had a nest egg, because we really didn't at that point. Because if everything didn't work out, say my job didn't work out, maybe I could go on unemployment if I got fired, and my wife could go back full time as a nurse. So what I did was I sold this car. This is a 1972 GTO. This is a car I wanted since I was 13. Actually, it's not the exact car. I wanted a 70 or 69, 68, but that was $10,000 or $15,000 more than this. I settled on this because I was thinking about the money it would cost. I got a classic car loan on this, so I was thinking about the payment, and I wanted to make it low. So I paid this down a lot, and I actually had equity in this because the value of these, during COVID, assets went up because of inflation. So I was able to get about $9,000 for this. Okay, moving on. This is my 2014 F-150. I paid off 4 years early. This thing was friggin' mint. I barely drove it, and it had low miles because I had company cars. With these two together combined, I got a nest egg of $32,500 plus whatever else I had in savings. So we're hovering around close to 40 grand. All right, so just like I thought maybe would happen, the job didn't work out. So there was a lot of demand, but we didn't have products. And when we got the products in to sell that I could make commission on, my main targets like schools and not hospitals, but schools, office buildings, things like that, were closed down. They weren't remote. So I didn't have anyone to sell to. So I wasn't making the money. And every year I made less and less money. So the first year I made $105,000. Second year it was like 102. The third year, 88. And then the fourth year I made 76. So every year it's going down. My wife's part-time, and everything's getting more expensive. So that close to $40,000 savings I had disappeared. Then right before, like a year and a half before the whole divorce happened, it got so bad that we were paycheck to paycheck, and I was having to sell my own things. Obviously, I'm a musician. I selling guitars. I was selling drum stuff I had. I sold a boat project just to be able to pay the propane heat bill, just to give you an idea how bad it got. So, anyways, now I get kicked out, and because of miracles, I met a random guy who had this studio apartment. Didn't charge me a security deposit or anything. I gave him $100 to hold it because I felt bad, but that's all I had. And later on, I gave him a little more money, but I did not have any money when I got kicked out for first and last month's deposit plus, and then pay rent the next month. I had $600 basically in my name for 4 weeks, and I still had to pay the mortgage of the house I didn't live at and daycare, because I was told by my lawyer if I didn't, that was a sign of abandonment. It would look really bad in court. So I was up S Creek big time, but because God sent me a miracle, who's my landlord now, just a dude, honest guy that wanted to help me out because he was in a similar position 15 years ago, I got blessed with a place to stay. I moved in here with the clothes on my back. I had my work bag and my computer, but nothing else. There was no bed. There was a TV here because this used to be like old gaming room, and it was a beanbag chair. But this place was not move-in ready. It didn't have a refrigerator. Only thing it had was an electric stove. I had to clean the crap out of this place. And I didn't have much money, and I needed like a vacuum. I needed cleaning supplies. It really wasn't super livable. I had to get a bed. But fortunately, I made a ton of great friends who gave me a lot of stuff for free, which really got me by. Now, here are some of the goals and why the situation is dire. So it's really important to me that I eventually, after I prove everything to the court, I'm jumping through hoops, doing everything I gotta do, it's really important to me that I have overnight visitation with my children. Why is that important? Well, because the studies show that that's the most important thing for a child to really have a close bond with their parent and develop self-worth and have like stability, right? So if I do bath time, make dinner, do all these things you do, day to day, where it's me actually taking care of them, keeping them safe, making sure they're healthy, all that stuff. That lets them know that I'm not a visitor. I'm their father. And that's my number one priority. And I know this from experience because growing up, my father was a visitor. I couldn't count on, I don't think I ever got read a story. I never got a bath time. He never made me dinner. It was just come do some things. And, once a year I could count on something huge like that red guitar I got, which is made in America. And it was over $1,000. I got that when I was 13. That thing's friggin' awesome. And that's the reason why I bought it back after I sold it. And I'll never get rid of that guitar. That's a real USA Strat. And if you play instruments, that's a big deal. But other than that, that's all there was in that relationship. And I'll be damned if I let it get like that with my children. So I got a lot to fight for. But here's the situation, though. Money, right? Okay, I'm really going above and beyond for you guys. Here's a copy of my latest financial statement. And I highlighted this stuff for you right here. So right at the bottom, you'll see I gross $1,592 a week. Not bad, right? But after all the expenses, I cut out all the details. I bring home, my expenses are $1,573.50. So if I am totally tight, right, I can save $19 a week. That's terrible. Also, legal fees right here. I'm up to $33,498 and I've gotten nowhere. So that's nice. Now here's the situation. This is a studio. To be able to have overnights with your children, they need their own individual dwelling, which basically means their own room. So I have to find a way to get first and last month's deposit on an apartment that has like 2 bedrooms. You saw my financial situation. How is that even possible? So, I'm going to have to find some creative workarounds here unless there's some miracles. But I'm positive it'll work out, and that's why you're tagging along, so you can see what happens. Also, the other thing I want to point out is I mentioned in the video I lost my family, right? And technically, although they're still there, they're not gone. But I just want to point out how abrupt this was. So I'm a good man. And saying that, I'm not scared at all because I know I'm a good man. And I know people that really know me know I'm a great person. I'm not angry. I'm not a monster. My problem is I'm a people pleaser and I'm too nice. I just want to point out how serious I took being a father. I was a constant in these children's lives. I was home every night. I hung out with acquaintances. I didn't have any real friends. I had acquaintances, right? 5 times a year, 6 tops. That was the number I knew was a safe area. Never any more than that. I was home every day except for a few times when I went on a work trip somewhere, and that's limited. From 9 months old to 2.5 years old, I was a single parent because my wife worked opposite shifts. We didn't have to do daycare. I was literally with my daughter every day for 10, 12 hours. Did everything. Made the meals, bath times, went on walks, went to museums, cooked for her, changed her diaper, dressed her, everything by myself. And currently, before this all happened, I hang out with her 2 hours a night. I made dinner every night for 2 years after each child was born. And that only stopped because I get home from work and dinner was made all of a sudden. So it's kind of like, I guess it's changing. But been to every single soccer practice, basketball practice, game, all the extracurriculars, except for I missed one game and I let my kid know ahead of time and I came 20 minutes late to a practice once, or maybe it was mixed around. Currently, I didn't go to any Irish step dancing practices because I got like a free pass to go work out, and that's really important to me. Health is really important to me. So besides that, every day I was with my kids for hours. My daughter gave me this wristband when she was 3.5 years old, And I knew that I needed to show her how much I loved her somehow. And I kept it on and I never took it off. That was 5 years ago. And now she still mentions, we talk about this regularly. Why am I still wearing it? And I tell her, because this was a gift from you, and you need to know how important you are, how much I love you. Okay. During this whole thing, I call them every day in FaceTime. I actually call them more than once a day sometimes. I call them so much they're annoyed. Everyone's annoyed. And, well, that's because I'm your father, and you need to know I love you. You're too young to know what's going on, but I'm sorry. Even if you only talk to me for 10 seconds, I need to tell you I love you so you develop self-worth, all right? It's really important that there's a supportive father in the picture. And that's me. So I got to do everything I can, given my circumstances, to stick out. Let's see. The other thing. The reason why I got a colonoscopy is, I didn't mention this, so health is really important to me. Exercising, eating healthy is very important to me because I was an extremely overweight, sick kid. I was the third fattest kid in my middle school, one of the fattest kids in my high school, and one day I had an epiphany. I had to take care of myself, and I just started. I saw friggin' AC Slater doing bicep curls once on Saved by the Bell, and all the girls went, woo! And I knew that was my answer, so I just started working out, and I never stopped. Unfortunately, when I was 18, I got ulcerative colitis and almost died. I lost 50 pounds. It was just muscle by this point. Had to get blood transfusions, and I was going in diabetic comas. Awful experience. I had that for 10 years, and they told me when I was in the hospital that by the time I was 35, I'd either have a colonoscopy. I mean, colon cancer, and we need a colostomy bag. Never forgot that, and considering everything was going on in my life, I was like, I bet I have colon cancer now. I should get a colonoscopy. And I did. And I have rectal cancer, which I'm going to address in the next video because I did get the MRI and I know what stage it is. It's not as good as I hoped. Back to the abrupt part. My kids, this is why it's so, you need to know, I'm worried about my kids. They're doing great right now. They had no idea there was any tension between me and my wife. We were like the perfect happy family. We kept that away from them. And right now, we're still co-parenting well. And the reason why I know we're doing a good job, even though I see them 4 or 6 hours a week, is because family therapists and teachers say they're doing excellent. They're excelling everywhere, and they're not blaming themselves. But that also bothers me because it shows me how insignificant I was and how everything I was doing was diminished and not shown, because all it took was 5 minutes and everything I worked for so hard for 16 years to try to prove myself did not matter. Everything. I like breathed, ate, and slept family. And when I say I lost family, here's the last part. It wasn't just my family. It was my wife's family. I met her right before I graduated college, and I stayed out here. And I had to create a whole new friend network, which never really happened. And she has this really great, tight-knit family. And I saw them almost every day. Like, her parents basically are best friends. Always family things, constantly. Every Saturday, Sunday. Every Saturday and Sunday, there's apple picking, horseback riding, going to the amusement park. There's always family dinners. That's a huge chunk. It was a huge chunk of my life last 16 years. And boom, I was gone. In that family, when you have a family that says it's all about family, usually that means you're in or you're out. And I knew when I got a divorce lawyer, I was probably going to be out. And man, I was out. Big time. Not one person in the family they still all talk to me like nothing happened. Not one person has mentioned the divorce, asked me if I had second thoughts, said they were sorry. Nothing. It's like it never happened. I thought that they didn't know my cancer diagnosis. They all did. And still, not one person has mentioned anything. Not one person has ever texted. I see these people all the time. Hey, Danny, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Everything okay? Nothing. And I'm not going to say anything more about that as I go and I cover everything with, you know, how my divorce is progressing, how my goal of getting my own place is progressing, how handling cancer is progressing, you're going to be able to make up your own conclusions. So anyways, this is Relentless Persistence. My next video is going to be even better. I'm going to give you the results from the MRI. And there's going to be other videos because I got a PET scan on Sunday, a meeting oncologist this Friday, and then next week I'm going to Mass General. So remember, I want to be so effing positive, no one can ignore it. And good luck out there.